What's up, everyone? We're going to be going through the best NBA player props on Prizepicks today. Now, I did want to show you the results from the other day's picks from my exclusive Discord group, as there was no NBA yesterday, and we actually got 21 picks correct, which was absolutely insane. Now, a lot of you comment wanting to see how many I got wrong, and I thought I'd show you in today's video. We only got 2 picks wrong and got 21 right, which is a 92% win rate. Yes, guys, you heard that right. 92% win rate. So we're on a huge hot streak, but if you want to get a 92% win rate and get 21 picks right like me, win more bets, and receive the best picks from some of the best bettors in the world for less than a cup of coffee, you can access the exclusive Discord and meet some of the best sport bettors in the game by joining my Patreon. Should be a link down below in the description. Once you join, you'll have complete access to the Discord and can start winning more bets today. So make sure to join my Patreon using the link in the description. And here's one of our members who just signed up and won himself $3,000 just yesterday. Another member who won $125 for the 5th day in a row since joining my Discord. So guys, if you want to win big money like our members, the link will be in the description. So go join the Patreon to have access to the Discord group. And I will be continuing to upload every single day on this channel the best bets and props. So make sure to subscribe so you don't miss my daily uploads. So shouts out to RP30RM who sent the clapping emoji, and shouts out to JLot901 who said we going green tonight. So shouts out to them, and if you do want to win a shout out in the next video, all you have to do is comment down below in this video and like it, and you can be in the running to win a shout out in the next one. All right, so let's get straight into the first pick. And when it comes to these picks, I'm not saying to chuck all of them into a parlay and hope for the best. Pick and choose the ones that you like and the ones that work best for you. So guys, definitely be aware there is only one game for the actual playoffs, as you know, we are down to the final 4 teams. So you know, when it comes to these picks, there may be a lot of overlap. Some may be from the same team, but you do have to remember there is only one game, and we just want to give you guys the best picks possible. So the first pick we're going to be talking about is Anthony Edwards. Now, as you all know, Edwards is a fantastic player for the Minnesota Timberwolves, and this one is a fantastic one because this is actually for 3 points made. So this one's a good one for actually 3.5 3 points made, and this one actually is for less. So, you know, looking at 3 points made, let me just quickly scroll down. There it is right there. So 3.5 3 points made for less. We've actually seen him go on the under in 2 out of the last 5 games. Now, looking at the last 5 games, they obviously faced off against, you know, the Golden State Warriors, as it was their last matchup. Now let's see on May 7th in game 1 where he had 1 3-point made there. Then on May 9th in game 2 had 2 3-pointers made. Then in game 3, moving on to that, we actually saw him have a greater game, and he had 5 3-pointers made in that matchup. He took it a step further on May 13th and had 6 3-points made in that next game in game 4. And then game 5 sent them home while also making 5 3-pointers made. So it definitely was a little bit more of an easier series for Anthony Edwards and the Minnesota Timberwolves. So we actually saw him do a good job during that series. And his average over the last 5 is also 3.8, which is slightly above this line. But this is a completely different ball game. As you all know, this is a completely different team, and because of that, you do have to take into every single, you know, series a little bit differently. And Minnesota Timberwolves do face off against Oklahoma City Thunder. Now, both of these teams have definitely had a great success when it comes to their journey in hitting the Western Conference Finals. Now, looking at Minnesota, we did see Minnesota come 6th in the actual Western Conference, and they actually had a record during the regular season of 49-33, which was a 59.8% win percentage. So they did a fantastic job there. They actually finished off the season with a 3-game win streak, which I thought was great. And looking at Minnesota and how far they have come, they actually faced off against the Lakers, who did come in 3rd in the Western Conference, had a 50-32 record. Then after that, they beat the Golden State Warriors in a measly 5 games, who had the 7th spot in the Western Conference. And now they face off against the number 1 team, which is Thunder, who also have a record of 68-14, which is an 82.9% win percentage. So Thunder also finished with a 4-game win streak. Now, looking at Thunder's side, we saw Thunder did have a bit of an easier route because they actually faced off against the Grizzlies in the actual, you know, first series, which I thought was interesting to see. They were able to beat them very easily. Then they faced off against Denver, who were a tougher matchup, but Thunder were able to get it done in 7 games. And now they face off against the Minnesota Timberwolves. So it's definitely going to be an exciting game, but as you all know, know, we are looking at Anthony Edwards' pick for three-pointers, and looking at OKC, we actually do see Oklahoma City Thunder when it comes to three-point percentages allowed. They do actually rank first, allowing the lowest percentage possible. Three-point attempts allowed, we actually see Thunder rank 23rd, and then 3 points made allowed, we also do see that Oklahoma City Thunder do rank 12th, or tied 12th at that. So it is very interesting to see there. Obviously, OKC are a great defensive team. Although they do allow a lot of attempts, they do a great job at restricting makes, and also a really good job at having poor, or causing the team to have a poor three-point percentage. So we definitely see that being a big case coming into this game. Looking at someone like Anthony Edwards, we definitely have seen him do a fantastic job. But what we also have seen is that Anthony Edwards will probably come into this series with a lot of defensive pressure on him. Obviously, this is going to be game one, and OKC are mainly going to focus on trying to stop Anthony Edwards and also Julius Randle, I do believe. And because of that, we could see Anthony Edwards have a lot of the defensive attention and could definitely see him going on the under in this situation here. So we are expecting that from this first game. Now, looking at Anthony Edwards against the Thunder, they have actually played 4 times during the regular season. We saw their first matchup on the 31st of December. Now, in that matchup, he did actually have 4 3-pointers made, so he did a pretty decent job there. Then next matchup after that was actually on the 13th of February, where he had 3 3-pointers made in that matchup. Then on the 23rd of February as well, had 4 3-pointers made, and then finishing off on the 24th of that same month. So back to back, we actually saw him only have 1 3-pointer made in that matchup. So we definitely have seen, Anthony Edwards be on a little bit of a lower, sort of percentage-wise in most of those games. So we actually did see Anthony Edwards go on the under in 2 out of those 4 games. That's a telltale sign to us why we do like the under for this situation here. Obviously, when we look at this matchup, like I mentioned, this is definitely going to be a more important game than the regular season due to the fact that it is the Western Conference Finals. Each game matters, and we are expecting OKC to come out firing and bring out their defensive pressure as much as they can. So for that reason, we do very much like the under for this situation here for someone like Anthony Edwards, and we definitely see him going on the under here. So for that reason, keep an eye out for Anthony Edwards in this situation. So Anthony Edwards, 3.5 3 points made for less, I think is a fantastic pick. Now, getting into the next one, we're going to be talking about Dante DiVincenzo. So as you all know, Dante DiVincenzo, great player. And like I mentioned, I know he is from the same team. But like I said, guys, I am just here to show you the best picks possible. And this one's actually the next best because this one is actually for 9.5 points. And this one actually is for less. Now, looking at Dante DiVincenzo, we have actually seen him go on the under in 4 out of the last 5 games. Now, looking at those 5 games, you see on May 7th, faced off against the Warriors, where he didn't really do so well. He went on the under, having only 7 points there. Then after that, we saw him face off against them in game 2, where he had 9 points on May 9th. After that, in game 3, had 2 points on May 11th. Then 9 points on May 13th in game 4, and finished off with 13 points in game 5, and was actually able to go on the over in that matchup. So when we actually do see that, it's definitely a big thing to us because, we have actually seen him go on the under quite consistently. Now, when we look at this next matchup, obviously it's a bigger and better matchup in a sense that it is definitely going to be an exciting game. But looking at both of these teams, we do obviously know Dante DiVincenzo, has definitely done decent, but his average over the last 5 is also 8, which is also interesting as it is significantly below this line. But looking at the Minnesota and OKC matchup, this is going to be game 1. We just most recently touched on the standings of both of these teams, so we do know where both of these teams stand. But looking at Oklahoma City Thunder, when we look at their defense, we do actually see OKC do rank 3rd when it comes to points allowed. That's a telltale sign to us on why we do very much like the under for this situation here. Dante DiVincenzo is a great player, do not get me wrong, but OKC just do a fantastic job defensively that we are expecting that to cause a little bit of havoc for someone like Dante DiVincenzo coming into this game. Now, when we look at Dante, what we also have seen as well from him is that when it comes to, Dante DiVincenzo over the last series, we have definitely seen his usage rate be a little bit on the lower side. A big reason being for that is due to the fact that when it actually comes to this matchup, we do know that, DiVincenzo and the rest of the Minnesota role players are giving a lot of their usage rate to the stars of the team, whether that's Anthony Edwards, Rudy Gobert, Julius Randle, list really does go on and on. So we definitely see Dante playing more of a filler type role coming into this next matchup, no doubt about it. So, for that reason, we are sticking to the under for this one. Now, looking at Dante DiVincenzo against Oklahoma City Thunder, we actually have only seen them play against each other once. DiVincenzo was available with that one, but unavailable for the others. And we actually did see on that 31st December matchup, we saw him have 30 minutes and have 10 points in that matchup. So he did go in the over, but just by 0.5, so not really convincing enough to us. So we should actually see him go on the under in this next situation here, because as I've mentioned before, this definitely is more of a different scenario, as it is the NBA playoffs, the conference finals to be specific, and we are expecting definitely a bigger and more bigger pressure defensively from this OKC team. So it definitely may cause a lot of havoc and a lot of struggle for someone like DiVincenzo coming into this matchup, and that's why we do very much like the under. So keep an eye out for DiVincenzo's line. Like I always mention when it comes to these lines, we also do see that, when we look at what the bookies are saying, bookies also have a favorite for the under as well. So that works out in our favor there. So for that reason, Dante DiVincenzo for 9.5 points for less, I think is a fantastic pick. So getting to the next pick, we're going to be talking about none other than Chet Holmgren. So as you all know, Chet Holmgren, great player for Oklahoma City Thunder. And this one is for 14.5 points. And this one actually is for less. Now looking at Chet, as we all know, Chet is a great player, but he has gone on the under in 3 out of the last 5 games. Now looking at those 5 games, you see on May 10th, faced off against Denver, where he had 18 points in that matchup. May 12th, faced off against Denver again, where he had 8 points. Then 14 points on May 14th. Then on May 16th, had 19 points there. And then 13 points on May 19th as well. So we have actually seen, Chet go on the under more than he has gone on the over. Like I mentioned, 3 out of the last 5. And his average over the last 5 is also 14.4. So just slightly below this line. Now looking at OKC, as we all know, they face off against the Minnesota Timberwolves, which we've mentioned in the past. Now obviously this is going to be a very big matchup because this is the Western Conference Finals. But what we also do see is that when it actually comes to Chet Holmgren and Oklahoma City Thunder, they did have the better record, so they will have home court advantage in this series. But we do know that the Thunder did come with the #1 ranking in the Western Conference with a 68-14 record, which was a 4-game win streak. Then we also see that they face off against Minnesota Timberwolves with a 49-33 record, which is a 59.8% win percentage, a 3-game win streak to finish off the season, and they actually came in at 6. So we have actually seen both these teams do a very good job. But when it actually comes to this next game, or this first game, it's definitely going to be a fantastic matchup, because we actually do see that both of these teams are, I would say, both really big defensive teams. So it's definitely going to be an exciting game there. But looking at this pick, obviously we do know that Chet Holmgren, this one is for points, and looking at Minnesota Timberwolves, we do see that they rank 5th when it comes to points allowed. So it's definitely an interesting one there. Obviously, we actually do see that Chet is also a big man. He tends to play center, sometimes power forward as well. Well, we have noticed that Minnesota Timberwolves also do a fantastic job at restricting points to the big man position, and that's where we definitely see someone like Chet struggling here. Obviously, we do know Minnesota Timberwolves do have a defensive player of the year, not this year, but defensive player of the year in general, of Rudy Gobert in there. Julius Randle also plays great defense as a big, even though he is more considered for his offense. But we definitely see both of those bigs, and also the bigs like Naz Reid, playing a huge factor when it comes to him defensively. Like I mentioned before, Minnesota overall just do a fantastic job against centers and also power forwards and restricting them as much as possible. So we could see Chet, try to hand it off to other players like SGA and Jalen Williams to do a lot more of the heavy lifting or the scoring in this matchup. So for that reason, we do very much like the under for this situation. Now looking at Chet, against the Timberwolves throughout the regular season, we definitely saw something pretty interesting because we saw that they did play on the 13th of February. In that matchup, he actually had 11 points in that matchup, so he did go on the under. And then in their second matchup on the 23rd of February, he actually had 19 points. So he did a little bit better in that one. So he has gone on the under in one of them, over on the in the under one. But I think overall, coming into this next matchup, which is game one of the Western Conference Finals, we are expecting Minnesota to really turn up their defense and really focus on their stars when it comes to, trying to stop their stars, whether that's Chet or even others. And we definitely see that affecting his game greatly. So for that reason, we do very, very much like the under for this one. When you look at what the bookies are saying, bookies also have him favored for the under as well. So that works out in our favor there. So Chet Holmgren, 14.5 points for less, I think is a great, great pick. So as you all know, I do want to get these picks out to you as soon as possible, but Prizepicks is delayed with some of their lines. So here are a couple of players you should definitely watch out for when their lines drop. So the first player we're going to be talking about is none other than Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Now, as you all know, there is only one game for today, but Nickeil Alexander-Walker, great player for the Minnesota Timberwolves. And he's done a fantastic job all season, and he's actually averaged 9.4 points, 3.2 rebounds, 2.7 assists, while also shooting 43.8% from the field. So he's definitely done a fantastic job there. Now, we actually did see him rank 140th in points, 150th plus in rebounds, and then 91 or 91st in actually assists. So he's done a great job all season. He's definitely been a big role player for the Timberwolves. And we do know that the Timberwolves do face off against Oklahoma City Thunder. Now, just to reiterate again, obviously we do know this is the start of the Western Conference Finals. It's definitely going to be an exciting one, but looking at Thunder, they did finish with the number one spot with a 68-14 record. So they had an 82.9% win percentage coming into the playoffs, and they actually finished off the season with a 4-game win streak, which they did really well on. And you also saw on the other side of the table that we see that the Timberwolves do have themselves, a bit of a big game because they are versing the number one seed. Now, the Timberwolves do actually rank 6th in the Western Conference with a record of 49-33. So they did a great job there still with a 59.8% win percentage and actually finished off the season with a 3-game win streak. So this is the number one team going up against the 6th best team in the conference. So, obviously we do know Thunder are going to have the home court advantage in this series if it does go to all 7 games. So this is definitely going to be a big one. Now, getting into this game and also Oklahoma City Thunder, we do know OKC are a great defensive team. We did see that in their game 7 against Denver. They were able to knock them out in 7 games. And on top of that, Timberwolves did actually knock out the Golden State Warriors. But the Thunder do actually rank 3rd in points allowed. When we look at assists allowed, they do rank 4th. And then rebounds allowed, we also do see them rank 20th. Now, when we look at Nickeil Alexander-Walker, we do actually very much like the under for this situation here. A big reason being is that when it comes to games like this, especially in the Western Conference Finals, we are expecting usually in game 1 that the stars of this team are, a little bit more higher usage rate than normal because this is their first time, really playing each other. They are both still adjusting to each other's game, and, the Timberwolves don't know what defensive strategies Thunder are going to throw at them and vice versa. So we should see Nickeil Alexander-Walker go on the under in this one. We have seen also Alexander-Walker play a little bit more of that role where he's just a very great defender for this team. He's not really providing a lot in scoring. He's not really trying to make a lot or anything of that nature. He's out there to play his role, which is to play defense and, get others involved, whether that's Anthony Edwards, Julius Randle, or Rudy Gobert, some of those star players for this team. So although Alexander-Walker is a great player, we aren't expecting him in this first game to really have that much of firepower coming into it. And that is no disrespect to him. He is still a fantastic player, no doubt about it. Now, looking at actually Nickeil Alexander-Walker over the last 5 games, we definitely saw that a little bit in the most recent series against the Golden State Warriors. So obviously they did actually beat the Golden State Warriors in 5 games. So we actually saw in game 1 where they lost 99-88. He had 0 points, 0 rebounds, and 0 assists in that matchup, and he still played 14 minutes of playtime. So, we actually didn't see him do very very, very well. He got a good amount of minutes out there, but on top of that, you also did see his usage rate was very, very low. Now in game 2, we actually saw him, kind of pick it up a bit. They won 117-93. And in that matchup in game 2, he actually had 20 points, 3 assists, and 2 rebounds there. So he did a fantastic job in that matchup, but a big reason why I did score a little bit more is due to the fact that it was a little bit of a blowout situation. So you did see him get a little bit more minutes because he did get 26 minutes in that game. Then in game 3, we saw them win 102-97, a lot more of a tougher matchup. And we saw him have 0 points, 2 rebounds, and 4 assists in 18 minutes of game time. So, similar in the sense that he was going on the under in some of those categories. And then in game 4, they won 117-110, where he had 13 points, 2 assists, and 2 rebounds there in 17 minutes of playtime. And then in game 5, had 2 assists, 2 points, and then 0 rebounds there in a 121-110 victory to actually send the Warriors home. So we actually have seen a little bit more, of him going on the under on occasion in that last series, and we are expecting that in this series as well. A big reason being as well is that, Thunder are a great defensive team, so it's definitely going to have a huge effect on Nickeil Alexander-Walker, especially since he isn't really the main scorer or playmaker for this team in that sense. Now, when it comes to the under, I definitely would keep an eye out more for points and assists, since Thunder actually do a better job at restricting those two categories. So for that reason, I do very much like the under for Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Definitely focus a little bit more on points and assists, but keep an eye out for the line. If the line is too close to his averages, then definitely look to go on the under there. Now, getting into the next player, we're going to be talking about Alex Caruso. So Alex Caruso, great player for Oklahoma City Thunder, as we all know, and he did a fantastic job during the regular season because he actually averaged 7.1 points, 2.9 rebounds, 2.5 assists, while also shooting 44.6% from the field. So he's definitely done a fantastic job there. Now, when we look at Alex Caruso as well, we also do see that Caruso not only did a fantastic job during the regular season, but he's definitely showed out during the playoffs as well, bringing that great defense that this Thunder team need. Now, like we mentioned before, there is only one game, and it is Thunder against Timberwolves. It's definitely going to be an exciting game, no doubt about it. Now, when we look at someone like Caruso, we actually are expecting, some big minutes from him. But when it comes to Minnesota Timberwolves, they still do rank 5, when it comes to points allowed. They also rank 5th when it comes to assists allowed, and then they rank 8th when it comes to rebounds allowed. So although we may see Caruso, get quite a few minutes out there, we are still expecting the under for this situation here. Caruso is a great player, do not get me wrong, but, Caruso actually tends to play that second unit, and what we have seen is that Timberwolves actually do a fantastic job defensively against the second unit, and we definitely see someone like Caruso probably struggling in this matchup here. Now, Thunder are a pretty fast-paced team, and Timberwolves are a pretty slower-paced team, so we could see them slow down Caruso as much as they can, which should lead to the under, because slower pace means less volume, which means less opportunity in the points, rebounds, and assist department. So Timberwolves have just been a great defensive team all season, which is why they are in the position that they are in, and we definitely see that affecting Caruso coming into this game. Now, Caruso is a big player for the team, do not get me wrong, but his main job out there is to play defense, and we are expecting other players in this Thunder team to actually take a little bit more usage rate when it comes to scoring, playmaking, or even rebounding for this team. Now, looking at Caruso over the last 5 games, he's definitely had some pretty big games. We did see him play game 3 against Denver, where they lost 113-104 in overtime. He had 7 points, 2 rebounds, and 2 assists in that matchup. Then in game 4, had 10 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists with a 92-87 victory there. Then in game 5, had 13 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists in game 5 with a 112-105 win. In game 6, had a 119-107 loss, where he had 10 points, 4 assists, and 0 rebounds there. Then in game 7, had a 125-93 victory, where he had 11 points, 3 assists, and 0 rebounds to actually send Denver home. So he definitely did have a big role in that, Denver matchup in that Denver series. But like we always mention, the series definitely does change a lot of different things. Each team is different, and each sort of strategy is definitely going to be a different strategy. And we are expecting in this matchup that we are expecting the under for someone like Caruso. We have seen them play play in the past, and we actually have seen Caruso not really have that high of a usage rate against the Timberwolves. So we definitely see that taken into consideration and definitely being more of a similar situation coming into this next one. Now, looking at Caruso, although he is a fantastic player, you do also have to realize that his usage rate does pretty much remain pretty low in all three categories. He isn't really the star player in a sense of volume shooting, volume playmaking, or rebounding. So that's obviously taken into consideration, as we usually expect from game one that star players tend to have a bigger usage rate than usual as the series actually continues to go on. So first game, we are expecting the stars to come out, whether that's SGA, Chet, Jalen Williams, all these great players. We are expecting them to have a little bit more usage rate than Caruso coming into this one. So for that reason, keep an eye out for the under here. Keep an eye out for the line, like I always mentioned. If the line is too close to his averages, then definitely look to go on the under. Now, getting into the next player, we're going to be talking about Mike Conley. So as you all know, Mike Conley, great player for the Minnesota Timberwolves, and we do know how fantastic he has been for, the Timberwolves, not just this season, but also in general. When we look at his stats so far this season, we actually saw him average 8.2 points, which is great to see, 2.6 rebounds, 4.5 assists, while also shooting 40% from the field. So he's definitely done a fantastic job there. We actually see him rank 150th plus in points, 150th plus in rebounds, and then 47th when it comes to assists. So we actually have seen them do a fantastic job. Now, when it comes to someone like Mike Conley, it's definitely been an interesting time for him because, he continues to be the veteran for this team and has another shot at making it to the NBA Finals. Now, Timberwolves have definitely done very, very well over the last couple of postseasons, so this is definitely going to be a big game for him. Now, looking at the Thunder matchup, we do know a very, very exciting matchup, but it is the Western Conference Finals. We are expecting both of these teams to really come out hard. They are going to be making adjustments as the series goes on, but as of right now, we are expecting, some big minutes from Conley, as he is the starting point guard for this team. Now, looking at the Thunder, we do see, just to reiterate, they do rank third in points allowed. When it comes to assists allowed, we see them rank fourth, and then rebounds allowed, we also see OKC, actually rank 20th. So they actually rank lower in that rebounding category. Now, when it comes to someone like Conley, we do actually like the over for this situation here. Now, although Thunder is a great team, what we have actually seen is that Thunder do a very poor job at restricting points, rebounds, and assists to the point guard position. And we definitely are expecting that in this game. When you start to look at the matchup, you definitely do see that there are going to be a lot of big defenders in this Thunder team taking on the other big players in Timberwolves, whether that's Gobert, Randall, and also Anthony Edwards. So because of that, we are expecting Conley to may potentially have an easier defender on him. But either way, even if he doesn't, we actually have seen that Thunder just do a poor job against point guards, and we definitely see that happening in this game as well. Now, although Conley is only averaging, like I mentioned, 8 points, 2 rebounds, 4 assists, when it comes playoff time, he definitely does play a huge role for this team, really facilitating out there and also scoring when needed and hitting those big time 3-point shots when needed as well. So we are expecting a similar situation coming into this next game. Mike Conley has definitely been a huge asset, and we did see that in the last series. Now, looking at those last 5 games, we saw in game 1 where they lost 99-88. He had 22 minutes and only had 1 rebound, 5 assists, and 0 points, so didn't really do too well there. Then in game 2, 117-93, he had 6 points, 2 assists, and 2 rebounds there. Then in game 3, we actually saw him have a 102-97 victory, have 7 points, 5 assists, and 4 rebounds there. Then in game 4, had a 117-110 win, where he had 11 points, 5 assists, and 3 rebounds in that matchup. Then in game 5, we saw him have 16 points, 8 assists, and 6 rebounds, and finish off the game with a great win to send Warriors home and for them to advance into the Western Conference Finals. So it's definitely been a big game for Conley as of recent, and he's definitely had a good usage rate in a majority of those games against Warriors. Now, obviously, it is up and down when it comes to usage rates out there, but coming into the first game, we are expecting Timberwolves to really just play their normal style of basketball, and come game 2, come game 3, that's where you start to see adjustments from defenses, whether that's from Thunder or even Timberwolves in general. But coming into this first one, we do know Thunder do a poor job against point guards, and we definitely see that being the case coming into this next one, and we should see Mike Conley go on the over here. So keep an eye out for Mike Conley. I see a lot of value there to go on the over, especially if the line is under his averages.